Hi, so it's me from Sprite Made Soaps, and a little bit ago I did some tarot videos. So hi! So I thought I'd do a couple more. It's been a very intense kind of new moon for me. So I thought, well, hey, why don't I just move through that by doing a live video? I've had issues with saving these in the past, so I'm really crossing my fingers that I can save this and post this later. Hello. That in order to take this the next step further, I would look at the Empress and the Emperor cards. They're the next two decks, the next two cards in the tarot deck, and I thought I'd just go over them. I've again pulled out 3 different sets from 3 different decks, and I'm just going to talk about the symbology in them and some of the ideas behind the different cards. Okay, so I'm going to try to flip, well, I think I'll hold them up. So the first set I have is, I've got this set here. Can you see that? Emperor and Empress card. These two are a set. The other decks I have are this one. We've got an Emperor and an Empress card. And the third set is a fairy set. So this is the Emperor and the Empress card. So when I was learning, I thought of these as a set. So as I got to know each individual tarot deck, I would learn about the tone of the deck, the tone of the court cards, all of that tone from what's happening in the Empress and the Emperor card. The archetypes in the two are the Divine Mother and the Divine Father. So you're going to see a lot of the symbology around, not quite leadership always, but how we teach others, how we give knowledge to others. That's often in the Empress and the Emperor card. And then the other piece is that we would look at the symbology as it pertains to a reader. So it's all off the top of my head. So, so with the Empress, we'll look at her. We'll look at the 3 cards that are the Divine Feminine. And I'm just going to see if I can flip this around. There, it worked. So with the symbology here, with the Divine Feminine, you've got all 3 of the cards, and each one has that mothering aspect. They all are on their throne. So you've got the goddess Rhiannon on her throne, you've got the fairy goddess on her throne, and you've got this Empress. Kind of the throne is this area here. This card shows a lot of what is represented with this card. We've got a lot of symbology: eggs, life, rebirth, pregnancy. The swans often associated with the mother goddess, right? So if we were thinking of the triple-headed goddess, the maid, mother, and the crone, the Empress really is that mother aspect. The birthing forth of ideas, the birthing forth of not really physical babies, but even our own self, a rebirth in ourself. This card often comes up when there is a newness coming up. It's a great card to get around businesses starting, around any kind of creative project. It's really quite in tune with the 2nd or orange chakra, that birthing chakra. You can see that in this card, we still have a throne, right? She's here on this awesome little fairy throne. There's kind of womb-like symbology in some of the shapes down here. Definitely regal. You can definitely see that she is a powerful being, and the way she's leaning in, she's giving an offering. She has wisdom and she's offering it to you. And then with this one, we have the throne again. We have the shield with the swans on it. We have an apple of truth in her hand. Again, symbols of fertility, knowledge. It's really all about that divine feminine. The horse at the top of her head, all the red fruits around her, life, abundance, and really in that phase of nature where everything is abundant. There's an abundance of life. There's a fullness to everything. I'm doing this just as this new moon passed, but there's been a lot of just moony energy around. And again, I associate this card with the full moon or that mother fullness. Okay, I hope that makes sense. Again, this is planned. So let's move on to the Emperor cards, and we'll just swap these ones out and put the Emperor back in. So now with the Emperor, you've got that divine masculine, right? That all father or our father style of, hi there, style of energy. That divine masculine. It is a very Mars energy, a very fiery energy. You can see in the cards there's a lot of fire. Well, there's an Aries right there, which is fire. A lot of fire symbology going on. Hi, Shannon. A lot of fire energy here in the background with the red cape and the red thing. You've got a very powerful, authoritative figure. And with the Emperor and the symbology around this card, it's really traditional authority. But I don't want you to think of it as authority as under your thumb kind of power over, but just really owning your position. He's the Emperor after all. Again, a great card that comes up for entrepreneurs, female or male. It doesn't really matter because it's the energy. Even though these are divine feminine and divine masculine cards with the Empress and the Emperor, that's energy. It's not really gender that's happening. So with him, again, where the Empress kind of leans forward, he kind of leans back, right? He's going to be about judgment. Positive judgment would be discernment, but about judging, discerning, very good energy card. And you can see those same themes here, totally drawn different, way different style of art. And what I like about this Emperor is that he has those two pillars that we saw in the High Priestess card. So again, looking at those pillars, being grounded in two realms, having the knowledge of all the realms. You'll see that on the Rider-Waite deck a lot. They have these two columns representing the dualities and both dark and light knowledge. I hope that makes sense. Even though they're not the two different colors as they are in other traditional decks, it's still representing that. So you have the have all the symbology there. And again, he looks like a guy who would give really good advice. He's a ruler. You've got the sundial behind him. And then this one is probably my favorite Emperor card. For me, this is the kind of father energy or divine masculine energy I really like, because he's so unassuming. He definitely has deep, deep knowledge. He is still a ruler, but he's ruling with in that airy element as well, more than the fire element that we see in the other cards. And I really like that idea of masculinity that comes from and willpower that comes from our knowledge of things mixed with our passions of things. And I like that feeling in this card. And I like how, even though he's sitting in judgment and he's offering real discernment and decision-making qualities, just because he's a fairy, he just looks so kind about it. Where this guy doesn't look as kind, even though he can show up as a very loving, guiding person in a suit. So I'm just going to put them all out so you can see them. Oh, again, with their pairs. Okay, so you've got those two rulers, your Empress and your Emperor. Still, even beside her own Emperor, look at all the abundance of symbolism there for her. And then our two fairies. Again, receiving and judging, leaning in and offering more advice. I like that aspect in those two. So I'm going to flip this around. Okay, so when we're looking at in a spread, when I'm going to pick these up, when we're looking at in a spread and we have these, you're really looking at, sometimes they are behave as a court card. So they're a physical person in your querent's life that offers good sound advice, that offers judgment, sometimes not kind judgment, but they do show up as a judging person, someone who's very unmovable of mind and will. That can be positive, that can be negative. It depends on what you're unmoving on. If you're unmoving on your morals and your morals about love, great. If you're unmoving on when you're going to get, I don't know, I can't even think of anything. Positive ways to be unmoving, negative ways to be unmoving. So that's what you can have in a card. If we're looking at more deeper things within in a spread, we're looking at patterns in our life or our divine path. These are often speaking of how we need to be more discerning, how it's okay to trust our instincts around choices. Emperors rule. They rule over whatever it is they're in charge of, and they don't second guess. They make decisions and they plow forward and they harness those energies. They move soldiers. They conduct things in the ancient worlds. That's the kind of energy. So when you get these as in your personal spreads about growth, they often talk about being more decisive and trusting your instincts, trusting that inner voice in yourself. That's the Emperor. And then our Empress, I'll get those ladies. Heavy on the creation aspect, super heavy, right? Heavy on the creation aspect, hello. Heavy on inspiration, creativity, and again, that big, full goddess belly of manifestation. These are great cards when you're birthing anything, whether it be your art, whether it be your projects, your business. These are great cards. And again, they can be a person in their life. Sometimes this will represent your querent themselves if they're very attuned to mothering energy. It can be a person in their life that stands in as a nurturer and loving person. They will show up in these cards. Sometimes their own mother will show up as the Empress, just depending on where it shows up. And it can also mean for yourself that you need to call in your creativity, your compassion for others. Compassion is more down the line in the high arcana, but often creativity. Great card at the beginning of projects. So yeah, I'm hoping this will save. I haven't had one save successfully, but I'm really glad you guys joined us. I can answer a question if anyone has a question. Okay, well, I'm going to try and save this. So thank you for anyone who tuned in. Thank you for anyone watching this later. I'm going to do my very, very best to save this and post this. Hey, hi, we're just finishing up. I just went over the Emperor and the Empress. So I'm hoping to save this and I'm hoping to post it. So take care, everyone.